My God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you, God.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Them a ask about see them, but see them, no see them. Them a ask about see them, but see them, no see them. What you know about we life? Stop pretend like we friends. Stop watch out.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name is Kimberly, and obviously by the title, I'm pregnant. While I'm recording this, is currently Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, and today I made 20 weeks, which means I am halfway there. Well, we are halfway there, and 20 more weeks to go. So in this video, I'm going to just share my story on how I conceived, because I honestly think it is a very beautiful story. It has been a journey. Trust me, it has been a long journey. It's been a journey. Let me just get into it. So, and excuse me if I sound stuffy. I had a cold and I'm trying to get over it now. So, not a lot of people know this. Well, I don't think anybody really knows this, but I wanted to be a mom so bad. I wanted to have a child so bad. I'm currently 28 years old now, but since I turned like 23, I wanted to be a mom so bad. But I always said I wanted to be a wife before I became a mom. Definitely not throwing shade or bashing anybody that had kids outside of wedlock or isn't married at all, but it was just my personal preference. That's what I grew up seeing. That's what my parents did, and that's what I wanted to do. And luckily, I was blessed enough to follow those footsteps. So, even though I wanted to be a mom so bad, that didn't mean I was going to rush into marriage either. I was just like, even if I don't get married until I'm 39, then I'll have my first kid. Because, like I said, I was keeping my word to myself. No ring, no baby. So, I just wanted that stability, you know. And something I couldn't stand to hear, I kept hearing these rumors like, oh, Kim doesn't want kids. Kim doesn't even like kids. She just wants to travel and be free and be rich auntie and, team no kids. Like, Kim does not want kids. She just wants to live her life and be all over the world and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, where are you getting this information from? Because that never left my mouth. I never, ever, ever said I did not want kids. Never. Personally, I feel like because I was living my life in my early 20s, some people took that the wrong way. Like, that's what I wanted to do forever. But I feel like in your early 20s, that's what you're supposed to do. While you have no real responsibilities, yes, you have your bills and whatever, but while still living at home and not having a human being to take care of, and at the time not being married, yes, I'm 1 month I'm in Panama, and the next I'm in St. Martin, and the next month I'm in Jamaica, and then the next month I'm in France. Yes, because I'm enjoying my youth before I have one. Like, it's not the same. Yes, that does not mean when you have a kid that, your fun is over. Absolutely not. But I just can't pick up the phone and call one of my friends and be like, do you want to go to Japan this weekend? Okay, let me pack my stuff. It doesn't work like that. So at that time, I was just doing what I felt like was right, which was living my life. At least when I do have a kid now, yes, I can still have fun, but I don't feel like I missed out on the, I want to say, carefree part of my life. Like, just worrying about myself. Like, I don't have a child to worry about. If anybody's worrying about me, it's my parents worrying about me. You know what I mean? But now I'm a parent, so now I have somebody to worry about. But yeah, for some reason, people just thought I want to do that for the rest of my life. Like, no, I want to settle down and I want to be a mother and have the white picket fence and all of that too. So anyways, I got engaged September 2024. So I'm like, okay, God, this is my husband. This is him. Let me mentally prepare myself to become a mother, which I know doesn't happen overnight. Well, I mean, it can happen overnight. But in the real world, it takes couples a couple months, maybe a year. So I'm like, okay, let me kind of prepare myself and like imagine what life would be like being pregnant and having a child and blah, 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 blah. One of the biggest obstacles for us was we're in a long distance relationship, which means that I didn't have the opportunity to try to conceive the whole month, which if you're familiar with the female body, you could only really conceive 6 days out the whole month, which is your ovulation window. And when I plan my trips, it's really always around my work schedule, a holiday, a birthday, an event. It's not like I looked at the calendar and saw, oh, I'm ovulating on the 12th. Let me go to Jamaica then. No, like I always plan my trips way in advance. So it's like I can never predict when I was ovulating. And for some reason, I always said the calendar was against me because I would never be in Jamaica when I was ovulating, ever, ever, ever. I would always miss it by a day or two, or I would ovulate when I come back. Or my cycle would start the day of my trip. It was always something, but it never worked out where I was ovulating down there. So, people used to be like, oh, you're going to come back from your trip pregnant. I'm like, yeah, okay. Because I already knew I was not ovulating. Fast forward, I got married at the beginning of 2025. I used the Flow app because I don't know about everybody, but for me, the Flow app is very, very, very accurate. So, I checked and it said that I was ovulating on my wedding day. So I'm like, oh my God, like this was meant to be. This is it. Like, this is what I always wanted. I always told God I wanted to be a wife first. And that's why, nothing was aligning. Okay. I'm like, I see you, God. So I came back from my trip. And when I said I felt so sick, I was so nauseous. My sense of smell was so heightened. I craved all these foods. I had a headache. I felt so bloated. My feet were swollen. Tell me why there was no baby in there. I could laugh now, but at that time, I was depressed. I'm not even lying to you. I was so depressed. I fell into depression once I took, no lie, I think I spent maybe like $70 on pregnancy tests because I was just in so much denial. And every time I saw the one line, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I just made believe in my head I was pregnant. Like, the brain is so powerful where you could literally trick your body into giving you symptoms that you're pregnant and you're not. And there's nothing there. So I'm like, there's no way these tests are all negative. Down to the point when I got my period, I'm like, maybe this is implantation bleeding. No, it wasn't. There was nothing in there. I'm like, no way. I felt so crazy. I felt so delusional. I felt so sad, down. I felt so lost. And sorry. I felt so lost. And it was just really hard for me. Especially like going on social media and seeing people announce their pregnancies. And it was just something I wanted so bad for so long. And I was just like, God, what's wrong with me? Like, and what made me even more mad, it was people like on their 5th and 6th pregnancy. And I'm like, I can't even get one. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I just wasn't understanding. I really wasn't. It was really something I didn't share with anybody but my husband, obviously. But thank God I really have a supportive and loving husband, because he never made me feel alone. And he was just like, it's okay. Like, you know, there's time. Like, we just started. I'm like, I know, but I really thought this was it. The fact that I swore I was the hard part. I swore I was. I felt so delusional. I'm like, what is wrong with, like, I'm like, no way. And I was depressed for a while. I'm not even gonna lie. I was so depressed to the point where I didn't even want to be around children. Like, I didn't want to babysit. I didn't want to be around them. I didn't want to see them in my sight, because it was just like a slap in the face and a reminder, like, this is something I wanted so bad and it didn't happen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. Like, that's just an emotional topic to get on. But anyways, after I got out my depression funk, I'm like, I'm a child of God, and, you know, this is just the beginning. Let me stay positive. So, fast forward to about springtime 2025. I'm like, okay, also, maybe my body is lacking something. So let me try some vitamins. Maybe I have to, like, work on within. So I bought a bunch of vitamins: ashwagandha, maca-root, CoQ10, prenatals. The list goes on. I bought a bunch of vitamins and they didn't work. They did not work. So I'm like, okay, well, let me try some natural remedies. So I bought some dog blood bush when I was in Jamaica. Not going to lie, I was not consistent with it. I think I took it like once, and it was like the actual bush I had to boil. And the reason why I wasn't really consistent, because since it wasn't a tea bag, it was actual bush I had to boil. And I didn't want my family in my business. Like, yes, obviously I'm married and I'm a grown adult. So, like, okay, if you're trying to conceive, all right. But it's just like, I didn't want them to have that disappointment. Like, them knowing I was trying to conceive and then it just wasn't happening. So I only boiled the bush once when everybody was at work. And then I never had the chance to boil it again. So I gave it to my friend. I'm like, all right. But then I saw this raspberry leaf tea that was actually in bags. So I did try that. It didn't work. So I'm like, okay, well, fast forward to summer now. I'm like, these vitamins and teas are not working. Let me go see my OBGYN. Maybe she could, like, prescribe me something. So I think I went to the OB like in July or August, and I told her my situation. Told her I've been trying for like 7-8 months now. Nothing's working. So after that whole visit, she's gonna tell me, well, it takes couples about a year, so if you don't get pregnant by the beginning of 2026, then come back. And I'm like, what? You're not gonna prescribe me? I was so mad. I'm like, okay, well, this was a waste of my time. I mean, you could tell me that over the phone. So, it's all right. I'm gonna take the matters back in my own hands. So I went on TikTok and I said, maybe there's some, like, crazy method. And I found this video that was like, what are some crazy things that you've done to try to conceive? And it worked. And I found two that really stuck out to me. The first one was the Mucinex method, and the second one was Geritol. So I took Mucinex, I think, for like about a week. It didn't work. And then I took Geritol, which tastes like prune juice, and it was so disgusting. And I took a shot of that, I think for about 10 days. It didn't work either. So at this point, I'm overly annoyed. So I'm like, maybe I have to dig deeper than this. So I got tested for PCOS, which came back negative. And my doctor was telling me it will probably come back negative because I got tested before twice in the past and it was always negative. I'm like, it doesn't hurt to just look because things change, the body changes. So we never know. But that was all clear. So I'm like, all right, well, if it's not PCOS, then what is it? I'm like, maybe it's just not my luck. I don't know. Whatever. So fast forward to September 2025. I went to Jamaica twice. First, I had a business trip to go on in September 10th, which, like I said, my calendar is very accurate, and it said I was supposed to get my period on September 10th. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing this right now because I just want to enjoy the sun. It was getting cool up here. I want to enjoy the sun. I had a bunch of running up and down to do. So I took a pill and I delayed my period for a week. I let it come when I came back on the 17th. I was leaving again September 28th, which was my birthday trip. So I flew to Jamaica first and then we flew to Dominican Republic. So now, September 28th, which was a Sunday, I'll never forget, I was in my room packing my stuff for my trip. I think we flew to DR like on the 30th of September. I spent 2 days in Jamaica before we flew out. So I'm like, I wonder when I'm ovulating. Even though at that point in my life, I was so over it. I was not trying to conceive at all. I was just over it. But I was just curious because I like to know. So I looked at my calendar and it literally said I was ovulating the day I was checking the calendar, which was the day before I flew out. Like I said, I'm always ovulating right before my trip. So at this point, I'm just like, I just dropped my shoulders. I'm standing at the edge of my bed and I just dropped my shoulders and I said out loud, I said, God, when you want it to happen, it will happen. I'm waving my white flag right now. I surrender. I'm done trying. I'm done trying to put it in my hands. Who am I to write the book that you wrote for me already? Who am I to redirect the movie that you scripted out already? So when you want it to happen, it will happen. And I'm putting it in your hands 1,000%. I'm done trying to take it up myself. I'm just going to go on my birthday trip. Lord, I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to celebrate these 28 years of life you let me see so far and more to come. And I'm not going to worry about a thing. I'm not going to have no baby stress on my head. And best believe that same week I got pregnant. Would you believe? So you mean to tell me after all that money I spent on tests, all the vitamins I bought, doctor visits, the Geritol, the Mucinex, all of that, even changing my diet, cutting out sweets, carbs, and this and that, all that money I spent on trying to conceive, when all I had to do was have faith for free, and it happened like that. I'm just like, wow. Now, a little insight on the DR trip. Like I said, I was not thinking about a baby at all. That was far from my mind. The last thing in my mind. I was drinking margaritas, Don Julio margaritas from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, champagne around the clock. I'm eating so bad. The amount of random food I had on my plate, pizza, then I had fried rice, and then my plates were all over the place. So we had went to DR for about 4 days, and I went back to Jamaica, and I stayed in Jamaica for an additional week. So while we was in Jamaica, I honestly still wasn't 100% thinking I was pregnant at all. Like I said, a bunch of disappointment. I wasn't thinking about it. I already said what was in God's hands is in God's hands. I'm done trying to be a scientist, trying to figure out when I'm gonna conceive. So, but a little signs that I figured I might be, the biggest sign to me was one day, I think this was about a day after we came back from DR. I was laying down and I woke up about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and like a voice in my ear told me to go in the bathroom and pray over my womb. Mind you, the voice was not my husband. He was fast asleep. It was like a spirit or God or an angel. I don't know. But I literally heard the voice in my ear said, Kim, go in the bathroom and pray over your womb right now. And I did not question the voice. I did not think twice. I got up, I went to the bathroom, and I prayed over my womb. And which I feel like as a female, you should always pray over your womb, whether you're pregnant or not. You know, there's so much going on in the world, and you should just pray over like cancer and fibroids and anything abnormal, and just rebuke it out your room and just pray for health and strength. So I went in the bathroom, prayed over my womb for about 5 minutes, and I went back to sleep. It's just like, it's just so it's a blissful feeling, because look how hard and long I was trying, and I was spending all this money and doing all this research, when all I had to do was let go and let God, and just let him handle my worries. Like, Jesus carried the cross for a reason, and I just needed him to carry that weight on his shoulders, and I needed to stop trying to pick up the cross myself. That's all I needed to do. And once I actually relaxed and just let go and let God, that same week, nobody can sit here and tell me God is not real. Because look how long I was trying. Look how deep I fell into depression. Look how much times I prayed. And you could pray like no tomorrow, but a prayer without faith is not going to work. It's not going to be answered, much less heard. You need to have faith behind your prayer, because faith with doubt, God's not going to hear you. Yes, I kept saying and telling people, like, when they ask me, when do you have a child? Because, you know, after you get married, people keep asking, so when's the kid coming? And I just kept saying, like, you know, God timing. But I kept trying to do work behind the scenes to make sure I can make it happen, which is something I realize not only in this situation, but in everything I do. I need to let God handle my battles and stop trying to take up stress on my head, because it could be so easy. It could be so easy if I just had faith in God a long time ago. So yeah, guys, that's basically the story. Well, that is the story. And thank you so much for listening and just taking time out your day to watch this video. And I really hope it inspired you, especially if you are a couple or a female trying to conceive. I just want to let you know, do not give up, and it is not the end of the world, and God will make a way. Trust and believe me. Trust and believe. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoy your day and have a blessed one. Toodles.
Them ask about see them, but see them, no see them. Them ask about see them.